To find value within oneself is often a difficult soul-searching task that can take years to reach actuation. The character of Guts from Berserk relates this to the idea of having a dream, a goal larger than yourself to strive for. From such an early age, the only focus of Guts' life was survival. Betrayed by his father figure and forced to kill him, Guts ran away from the mercenary band that he had grew up with and wandered the lonely night, having to even face down an entire pack of wolves by himself before collapsing and taking in the intensity of the night sky. I think this moment has so much meaning, especially as Guts grows up. The idea that he could let himself die here, but instead decides to fight back for no other reason than to just do it. The full moon gazing down upon him, perhaps as a symbol that someday that very same moon would play an interesting role in his life as a branded swordsman and to his own cursed child. And surrounded by wolves, a group of animals that work as a pack, whereas Guts is oftentimes seen as a lone wolf, a hound, or a mad dog. Someone separate from the pack, an outcast. His beast of darkness taking the form of such an animal within his own mind, born from his trauma. When Guts meets Griffith a few years later and joins the Band of the Hawk, things begin to change. Griffith has an allure to him that could in many ways be considered godly, and this is before any kind of supernatural intervention. Griffith is an inspiring figure that backs up that allure with his charisma, military tactics, and combat ability. He is in many ways the ideal man, calm and calculated, opposing Guts' rage and independence. The two forces ultimately are drawn towards one another like a magnet, and because of this, both characters' values begin to shift. When Guts overhears Griffith and Charlotte's conversation at the fountain, he realizes how far Griffith is above him. At least, this is how Guts frames the situation. Griffith waxes poetically about how men must have a dream of their own, and if they don't and merely subsist on another's, then he doesn't value them as a friend. Guts is thrown back to that harsh realization that he has nothing that he's working towards, that he is living in Griffith's shadow. Does it mean that a man with a goal and a self-given purpose inherently has more value than somebody who doesn't know what they want? I don't personally think so, but look at how the situation is framed. Guts had just risked his life, performed an assassination, and accidentally killed a child, and now he must live with that guilt. All while following the orders for another man whom is standing here dressed like a noble and talking comfortably with a princess. Griffith enjoys the spoils of the dirty work that Guts has done for him, and on top of that, blatantly admits that he couldn't view somebody like Guts as a friend. Guts interprets this in a way that reshapes his whole worldview. He wants to stand on the same level as Griffith. He is viewing Griffith as somebody far above him, and he's falling into Griffith's frame. He is hearing his words, looking at the situation, and agreeing with him. And with that, Griffith's words are like an inception in Guts' head. He can't shake it, and Griffith is a source of his determination. Guts doesn't focus inward at this point. He thinks extensively of Griffith. It enrages him in their next battle, and his only answer is, I need to prove that I'm Griffith's equal. Instead of recognizing the inherent value within himself, Guts is looking for a way to be on par with the man that he looks up to most. Griffith holds a psychological power over Guts, because Guts values him, his words, and his ideals more than he values himself. It's similar to child Guts and Gambino. Even though Gambino was a horrible person, Guts still viewed him as a father and wanted to do right by him up until the very end. Griffith is the same way. Guts left the Hawks with the intention of making his way to Griffith's level. Guts' focus on becoming his own man was stimulated and provoked by obsession with another man. Guts didn't take account of his actual values. He left to find something abstract, perhaps even neglecting the fact that what he did value was right in front of him the entire time. Admiration and hatred are two powerful emotions. Both come from the same obsession. When you put another person above yourself in your mind, when they are all that you can think about, when you are making somebody else your life's focus instead of your own life. Griffith remains in that place before and after the eclipse. Whereas a human, Griffith influenced Guts' journey to find his own dream, and as a god hand, creating Guts' dream of vengeance. See, in a way, nothing changed. Guts still saw Griffith on that pedestal. He still saw himself in Griffith's shadow. These two images, one from the Golden Age arc and one from the Conviction, practically mirror one another. Guts is obsessed over the idea of Griffith that, again, he didn't search for the value within himself. In fact, he allowed his physical body to be damaged beyond belief, and his mind and trauma to boil to a point where his own inner darkness, the beast of darkness, was ultimately born. Guts was making all of his decisions based on Griffith. He was letting himself, metaphorically, become less and less human in pursuit of a now non-human entity. Guts wandered away from what he valued yet again for the same reason, because of Griffith. Griffith may have enacted a horrible event, but Guts chose to remove himself from positivity in his life because of Griffith's actions. Because of Guts' obsession with Griffith, Guts continued to lose his own self-worth. But what about Casca? Does Guts not place her on a pedestal as well? Does this too take away from his own inner value? Well, no. Guts loves Casca, and there is a difference between love and obsession. Between love and possession, which is Griffith's disconnect between the two. True love does not require a detachment from your own life in order to subsist. In fact, loving Casca enhances who Guts is and his own inner value. Because love is not about what you gain from it, it's not about obsessing over a person so strongly that you disregard or change yourself. Loving someone is about loving who they are and wanting the best for them. Particularly for a man, it's about that primal desire to protect and provide for them. Guts loves Casca, he loves who she is, and he wants the best for her. Now, Guts is not a perfect man, and plenty of mistakes and regrets are made along the way. I'm not trying to simplify all the complexities in the Guts-Casca relationship, but what I am saying is that what Guts feels for Casca is love. What Guts felt for Griffith was obsession and brought him insecurity and rage, whereas providing for Casca brings him more purpose to his life and allowed him to open up to new comrades and led him on a journey to a place of peace. Perhaps temporarily, but we will see when the hiatus ends. But does Griffith still have a hold on Guts like he used to? Well, it's hard to say. When Griffith was brought back at the end of the conviction arc, Guts had an immediate reaction of awe, and then rage, and then a calm understanding that he had to make a choice as to what was more important to him, and he chose Casca. At the Hill of Swords, Griffith announced himself free of his feelings for Guts, but Guts still wanted to cut him in half. And as of now, Guts on Elfhelm simply states that he knows that Griffith will continue to soar as high as he can, but how much does Guts care? Here's my controversial stance. I don't believe Guts has to kill Griffith. Hell, I don't even think Guts needs to fight ever again. But here's the thing. The ultimate defeat for Griffith would not be Guts killing him in a rage-fueled sword swing. The ultimate defeat would be Guts not recognizing Griffith as a positive or negative force in his life. It would be Guts telling Griffith that he is nothing to him, that he does not matter in any way, that Griffith no longer holds any power over Guts, that Guts has found his own inner value, and that he's found his dream and way of life without Griffith, that Griffith is nothing. Griffith does not matter. And of course I say this on a personal, ideological level on Guts' character, not in the overall state of humanity or the world in Berserk. There's a scene where Griffith confronts a lord named Ganon, who Griffith slept with once for funding of his mercenaries. A man who was still obsessed with Griffith until the bitter end. He asks if Griffith hates him, and Griffith states that no, he doesn't. That he feels absolutely nothing for this man, good or bad. That the man is nothing to him. Nothing but a stone in his path that he had to walk over. And I want Guts to have the same speech given to Griffith himself. This man that views himself as a king, as a god, and has always had people bow at his feet and worship him. If Guts not just said it, but truly presented himself as somebody who wouldn't even give Griffith the time of day. Griffith has shaped the better part of Guts' life, and I think it's time for Guts to put it to rest. To knock Griffith off that pedestal and simply focus on himself. As far as the ending of Berserk and defeating Griffith, yes, I want more to happen than just that, and yes, I want to see Griffith suffer for his sins, horribly. Justice must be prevailed. I just don't think that it needs to come from the hands of Guts specifically. And I think it's more important for Guts' character to truly embrace himself without the shadow of Griffith ruling all of his decisions. To break free of that obsession and continue forward with love. To finally be as the leader of his own wolf pack, surrounded by loyalty, friendship, and love. But these are just my own personal thoughts and ramblings about Guts' connection with Griffith. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, share it if you want to, subscribe if you want to stick around and see some more videos, Berserk content. Other than that, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you in the next video.